I was a cottage cheese hater for most of my life, but these 3 recipes completely changed my mind. We are making 3 incredibly delicious comfort foods that are normally terrible for you, but today they're actually gonna be good for you. And I bet you won't be able to tell the difference. If I win, you subscribe. But if I lose, I will drink nothing but blended cottage cheese for an entire week. Sound fair? Great, shake on it. Now to start off with our appetizer, we're making queso, which will start by shredding up some cheese. We're gonna need 2 ounces of some shredded medium cheddar. And since we're making a cheese sauce, I would highly recommend grating your cheese fresh if you can. Pre-shredded cheese is gonna have that coating agent on the outside that's gonna make our queso not queso-y. It's gonna make it really kind of gross and grainy, and nobody wants that. After our medium cheddar, we're gonna go in with 4 ounces of pepper jack. You could also just do Monterey Jack if you want, but pepper jack will give you a little extra kick, and that's for something I'm looking for. I would also highly recommend using an actual box grater instead of this other type of hand grater, because this isn't doing the job super well. But I, say it with me now, don't know where my box grater is still. But now moving on, we have 16 ounces of low-fat cottage cheese, which you might be thinking, man, that's not gonna be the right texture for queso day. And you'd be right, I came prepared. I finally did it. I bought one of those blender cup things. It was on sale and I bought it. So we're gonna be using this today. Carefully adding our cottage cheese to our blender cup, and we can just screw on our lid and proceed to blend. Is this thing on? This thing's a lot louder than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't expect it to be as loud as it was. I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and check this out. Beautiful, nice and creamy. Let's move this jet engine vortex out of the way. And now it can become our cheese sauce. We'll go ahead and pour in our blended cottage cheese into a small sauce pot. And as you can see, that is very silky with no lumpy. Then we'll just start to heat this up on a low simmering heat. And you're gonna wanna make sure you keep it moving, because similar to milk, it will burn at the bottom. But once it's nice and warm, we can go ahead and add in all of our cheese and then just fold it all in together. And then once we have that cheese nicely melted, we can add in half a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then we'll just give it a nice pinch of salt. From here, we can just carefully fold all of this together. Then we can kill our heat, and we are left with a beautifully delicious and cheesy queso. And now for our main course, we're making macaroni and cheese, which is gonna start by boiling some water. It's a great time to subscribe, like, comment, all those things, but also it's a great time to tell me how you're doing. What's going on in your life? Anything new this week? Anything to celebrate? Anything you're struggling with? Let me know. Now while we wait for that water to boil, we can do basically the only prep we have for this recipe. It's really simple. Grate 6 ounces of medium cheddar cheese, or in our case, the rest of our cheese block. Ooh, try to get it all in the bowl. Wouldn't be as big of an issue if I had a proper box grater. Sorry, if I knew where my proper box grater was. I also want to take this time to say, for those of you who have reached out and said, hey, I'd like to send you a new box grater, I appreciate it, but I'm gonna have to decline. This is my battle to fight. I have to find this, because if I don't and I buy one, then it's just gonna show up. So I appreciate your generosity, but this is on me. I have to fix this. And now that our water is boiling, we can go ahead and add in a few hefty pinches of salt, as well as 1/2 pound or 1/2 box of elbow macaroni. Now our pasta is finished cooking and nice and al dente, so I'm gonna go ahead and reserve 1/2 cup of our pasta water, and then I'm going to fish out all the remaining pasta. You can strain it too, but this is just easier for me right now because my sink is full of things. Now in a nice sauce pot on low heat, we're gonna add in our 1/2 cup of pasta water, followed by 16 ounces of blended cottage cheese. I didn't wanna make you have to watch me blend that again, especially with how absolutely obnoxiously loud it is. And we'll add in our shredded cheddar, followed by 1/2 teaspoon of some spicy brown mustard. You could use Dijon too, but I have this right now, so that's what I'm using. A teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, and then a generous pinch of salt, or 2. And now on our low heat, we're just gonna mix this all together. And now after about 4 minutes of constant stirring, our cheese is nicely melted, and we have this beautifully creamy, cheesy sauce. All we have to do is just fold in our macaroni, and there we go. And now for dessert, we are making chocolate chip cookies, which of course is going to start with 8 ounces of cottage cheese. And while we are going to blend this, before we do that, we're actually going to want to strain out any of the excess moisture that we have left in here. We really just want the cheese, if that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and remove 1/2 of this 16-ounce container, let all that excess milk juice just drip away, and then we can go ahead and add it into our blender cup. And please forgive me because I know this is going to be loud. It wasn't that bad that time. Now we can go ahead and sift 315 grams of all-purpose flour. It's important that you sift it because if you don't, you're gonna have lumpy flour, and then lumpy flour leads to unincorporated flour in your cookies, and that's not something you wanna bite into. Then we'll add 3 grams of baking powder, as well as 3 grams of salt. Give this just a light mixing to make sure our baking powder and salt is nice and evenly dispersed. And now we can move on to our wet ingredients. And now you don't need a stand mixer, but it does make this whole process a lot easier. So I would highly recommend it. We'll start by adding 170 grams of salted, unsalted butter. No.
Salted, unsalted butter.
Softened, unsalted butter, sorry. 200 grams of brown sugar and 50 grams of regular white sugar. Then we can just close this up and we're just gonna cream that for a few minutes. Then once our butter and sugar is all nice and creamy, we can add in 1 whole egg no, that's not the word. 1 whole egg, as well as 1 egg yolk. I'm losing my mind today because it's really hot and I still don't have air conditioning. It's like 80 degrees inside the house today, so it's been a struggle. And the oven's on, so it doesn't help. 12 grams of vanilla extract, and then we'll just close this up and let it continue to mix. And once that's well incorporated, which should only take about a minute, we're gonna go ahead and add in our cottage cheese. I'm gonna grab a spatula just to make sure I don't waste any because, you know, paid for it. And then we'll just let this mix all together for another minute. And then once that is all mixed in, we're just gonna go ahead and very slowly mix in our dry ingredients. I'm gonna stop about halfway and I'm going to scrape down the sides of my bowl just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Let that run. And we don't wanna overmix this, so once it's incorporated, we wanna go ahead and add in our final ingredient, 225 grams of semi-sweet chocolate chips. And then after about literally 20 seconds, once those are just fully mixed in, we're done. Now we can pull this out. I'm gonna scrape everything off of the paddle, and then now I'm just gonna let this cool in the fridge for about an hour just to give the flour time to hydrate and our baking soda enough time to lift. If you don't do this, then your cookies will still be cookies, but they'll be better cookies if you let your cookie dough sit in the fridge for an hour. So let's do that. Ooh, all right, we're back. Okay, our cookie dough has rested for an hour in the fridge. It smells delicious. And so now we're just gonna use this little scooper here, get a nice scoop of our cookie dough, and we'll plop it out onto some cookie sheets. You don't have to use these silicone baking mats that I'm using. You can also just use parchment paper, but I would definitely recommend having some sort of surface between your cookie dough and your sheet tray. And now we can place our cookie sheets into an oven set to 350 degrees for somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes. Just make sure to keep an eye on them once you hit that 8-minute mark. All right, our cookies are done baking, and I would like to acknowledge a mistake that I made, which was this was the sheet tray of cookies that was on the top rack. That was far too close to the heating element, and I don't know why I didn't think about that. This is why I usually make cookies in a single batch, but because I was filming, I was like, yeah, let me just throw them both in there. My mistake. This is what your cookies should look like. This is not, but they're still gonna be good. This just looks better. This doesn't look as nice. I'm gonna blur this one. You won't even see it. It's not even there. Ignore it. And now the last thing that we need to do while we wait for these to cool down is just hit them all with a little bit of flaky salt. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I really hope that you learned something. Here's some videos I think you might want to watch next. Here's a live photo of my wife who used to hate cottage cheese and now is actively loving it. And I'll see you next week.